Everyone loves it. Everyone eats it. Here's my version of meatloaf, a Sunday night favorite in our house. Hi everyone, welcome to today's episode of Let's Celebrate TV. I'm your host, Peter Lee. Now today I'm sharing probably my most requested recipe with you all. Today we're going to make meatloaf. Now I know meatloaf is, everyone makes it. Every family has their own. Every grandma makes it, every mom makes it. You probably make it. But this is the way I make it. And we have a friend, Tony Davis. So shout out to you, Tony, who is our #1 meatloaf fan. In fact, every time he is going to come to dinner at our house, he requests and begs, please, meatloaf. So Tony, this one's for you. Now, we're going to start first with an onion. All good things start with chopping an onion, right? A lot of times, I've shown you how to dice an onion. I'm going to slice this. So all I've done is I took an onion, chopped off the head and the foot, cut it in half, and we're just going to slice it in half moons, just like this. Why am I doing it this way? 2 reasons. First is, that's the way my mother did it. The second is, I like the texture of the whole pieces of onion that you get in the meatloaf. Now, let me light my little burner here. All right. I'm just going to start this sweating down in little olive oil. Not sauteing, not frying, sweating. Cold pan, cold oil. This is a case where you don't want to hear a sizzle. Right in the pan. A little bit of salt to help it along. We'll just give it a stir. This is like medium heat, medium low. Bell pepper is next ingredient. Now, this is a whole bell pepper that I diced up in a pretty small dice. Again, the onions are sliced for texture. This is going to melt down into the meatloaf and just give a flavor. Now, I may not use the whole thing. In fact, I probably won't, but you could. Or you could leave it out. It's entirely up to you. So I'm going to put about half of this pepper in here. And again, we're just letting them sweat down. If they brown a little bit, that's fine too. But you're not trying to cook it through. You're just getting them started to make sure that they cook in the meatloaf. Sometimes larger vegetables like these onions won't cook all the way. Some people might object to that. While these are going, let's talk about the meat. Now, this is 2 pounds of various ground meat. I have ground pork, ground beef, and ground veal. This is a prepackaged meatloaf mix or meatball mix. You've seen me use this before when we made the stuffed peppers. Now, maybe you object to veal or pork or beef. You can use ground turkey or ground chicken. You could use ground lamb. All up to you. This is our canvas for all the flavors. And these things together will have a nice combined flavor too. First, a couple cloves of garlic. All I did was ran on my little microplaner and chopped up little bits. I'm just going to put that right in because I always have to have garlic. This is a can of chopped tomatoes or diced tomatoes. I happen to have fire roasted tomatoes. You don't have to have those. You could have just plain regular whole tomatoes, whatever you like. In they go. This is simple. Everything goes in here. I've got 2 eggs that I just beat up to combine. That's going to keep it moist and help bind it all together. Half a teaspoon of dried thyme. Again, you could leave it out. You could use rosemary or sage, whatever you like. Give these a little stir. These are softening nicely. I'm just going to turn them off and let them cool before I put them in. And that's how fast that goes. I have half a cup of breadcrumbs. Use whatever type of breadcrumb you like. I will keep a little more in reserve. Sometimes maybe the vegetables are too wet, or the meat is a little fattier, or it's just whatever. You may need to add more. But we'll start with this. Worcester sauce or Worcestershire sauce, or however you want to say it. A few shakes of that go in. It's maybe a teaspoon. And of course, salt and pepper. Not too much because Worcester sauce has a good amount of salt in it, but you do need some. And a good grind of peppers. All right, these are cooled nicely. I'm going to put these right in. Still a little warm, but that's okay. Now I'm going to start mixing this with my spoon just to get it going. Get all those things a little combined. Okay, now get it started. Now I'm going to switch to our best tools in the kitchen, impeccably clean hands. In we go. You just want to combine it, and this is the easiest, most efficient way. Now, some people will do this in their stand mixer, which I've tried, and I find it actually makes the meatloaf a little tough. Just bring it together. Doesn't take a lot. Now, this does feel like I'm going to need a little bit of those extra breadcrumbs. So, grab that. Just a little bit at a time. You'll know when you feel it. Okay. And we're really just folding it in on itself. It's not hard at all. All right, that did the trick. That's feeling good to me. Now, wash my hands. Be right back. All right, clean hands. Now, I'm going to clear this all off. Give me a moment, and we'll keep cooking. And we're back. So I've straightened up. We're ready to go into the oven. I have a little pan, cute little sheet pan. I just sprayed it with a little cooking spray just for paranoia's sake. I don't want anything to stick. It shouldn't, but why take chances? Here's how easy this is. We're going to dump this out right onto the pan. And it's almost in a loaf shape. So you can just kind of, with your hands, make it even. It almost looks like an Easter egg. And tomorrow's Easter, so isn't that good? Now, at this point, a lot of people put a glaze on their meatloaf. Ketchup or steak sauce or barbecue sauce. I do not. I think it's pretty as it is. And I don't because my mother never did. Sometimes when my husband makes meatloaf, he glazes. It's entirely up to you. Where do we go from here? We go into an oven. Now, because this is not glazed, I preheated my oven to 350 degrees. If I had glazed it, I would do 325 so that the meat cooks but the glaze doesn't burn. Now we're going to cook this until it reaches an internal temperature of 165. I will start checking it after about 25 minutes because a meatloaf of this size is going to cook pretty quickly. So off to the ovens. So here we have it. Now, if we put this in the oven at 350 degrees, I checked it after 20 minutes, wasn't quite there, so I let it go another 20 minutes, and that did the trick. Sometimes it's 20 minutes, sometimes it's 40 to 45 minutes. It depends on your oven. So while that was cooking, I made some nice mashed potatoes and some lovely little quick mushroom gravy, which I'll teach you in another episode. I'm just going to drizzle a little bit of this over the top. Of course, some on the potatoes. Now, Phil and I are going to have this family style after all these cameras and lights are off, but he's not paying attention, so we're going to taste it right now. You can see how lovely this is. I'll just sneak a little piece from back here. Get a little bit of that gravy on it. That's really good. Really good. As always, I must have my wine. Tonight, it's Cabernet Sauvignon. Now, this is my recipe. This is how I do it. Guys, I want to hear from you. Now, you know we're going to put this recipe in the description like we always do. Some of you regular viewers like Dawn and Brian and Mabel and Matt and Ivana, how about it? Send me in your recipes. Let's see how many people we can get to comment on this video with how they would make meatloaf. I want to know. Maybe we can make a communal meatloaf. Wouldn't that be weird, but fun? All right, that's all the time we have for today. Now, as always, ask us questions. Let us know what you think. And remember, I want to hear those meatloaf recipes. Hit that like button, guys. Like us, and more importantly, subscribe. We need more subscribers. I say it every time. It helps us out a great deal, and it's free. And as always, check us out any old time at youtube.com/Let's Celebrate TV. I'll see you next Tuesday at 7. I'm your host, Peter Lee. Cheers. All right, before we cut, Phil's getting McDonald's for dinner. I'm going away with this. See you next time.